Hey guys, what's happening? Sorry for the noisy drive. It's kind of one of the only times I get to be by myself for a minute. Luckily, one of my hearing aids went out, so I got to drive to Cincinnati, Ohio, to get the hearing aid replaced. And oh my, I hope everybody's having an amazing holiday, good Christmas for those that do Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever your bag is, baby. And then, of course, I hope everybody's going to have an amazing, happy new year. I don't know if I'll be doing another one before then. Just thought I would check in real quick, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people going through the same experience as I am, which is just nothing in common or any way to relate to the family around you anymore. And of course, you are the pariah. They cannot understand. They cannot understand. They are baffled how you could possibly not believe all the horse shit on TV. You know, I go to my mom's, Fox is on, and I just leave it on because I'm like, let me hear what's going on. Why not? What's Fox's rant and rave? And of course, it was everything you would expect it to be. It's incredibly well scripted nonsense, just repeating the same thing. You know, on Fox specifically, you know, they will say, well, we're making fun of, you know, the fact that they have children propaganda about wearing masks. But then they're promoting the vaccination nonstop, 100%. And they will talk about the corruption of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. And then they will still believe that Trump is the savior. We've had viruses since I've been alive for 45 years. And somehow this virus is an attack from China. Like, that's what you hear on Fox News, that China attacked us with this virus and nobody's doing nothing about it. You know, I'm starting to get some of my Ohio twang back from being out here too long. First I was in Kansas, now I'm in Ohio. I tell you what, buddy. That Trump, God bless him. I think he's trying. Oh. So, it's like being an alien on, you know, some sort of distant planet. You know, I get up this morning, I have breakfast, and I'm watching everybody sit around the table or TV just shaking their head, because now they're bringing out the jihadis again and stuff like that. You know, you just had the Nashville bomber, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's amazing how they can somehow gather DNA evidence from a explosion, send it to Quantico, Virginia, have it tested, have it back, already have an original sample from the suspect in order to compare the DNA sample with, and tell you who it is and what he's all about. And he's 63. He was kind of depressed. Of course, he's a white guy. He's a white guy with explosives or a gun or whatever. And he was mad at the telecommunication companies because of 5G. So he's a conspiracy white guy. And, you know, I'm just sitting there going, I could have told you all that before they told you that. And, you know, I turn to my uncle and I go, isn't that amazing they had all that back so fast? He's like, yeah, that's pretty incredible, right? Like, you could tell, like, he's like, that's bullshit. Right. And then all of a sudden the Apollo 13, I don't know, some sort of, I think it's some, what do you call it? A reunion, or not a reunion, but an anniversary of the Apollo. So they're going over all the details of the story of the Apollo. And I sat there for what felt like an eternity, just listening to them go back and forth, talk. Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, you know what? They were geniuses the way they were able to do that. Oh my goodness! And can you imagine all that happened? Well, they got all the way to the moon, but they didn't get a chance to step onto the moon. And I was just like, finally, I couldn't. what's the point of me being there if I'm not allowed to be part of the conversation? But that's really what they want. They want me to come to this family thing, but they don't want me to say shit unless I am agreeing with everything they have to say or everything they believe. Because as soon as I start talking, they go, yeah, we know what you believe. We know what you believe. And I'm like, well, I know what you guys are all believing, and you're all talking about it nonstop. So what, I'm not allowed to tell you what I think? So the Apollo thing was going on, and I right away, I said, isn't it amazing that it takes a 50,000 watt antenna to shoot a TV signal 100 miles here on Earth, but somehow they were able to send a TV picture from 300,000 miles away with no antenna at all? I said, how did they do that? I said, they were talking live on the phone with the president. We didn't even have phones in our car at that point. I'm like, and they're like, wait, what are you trying to say? I'm like, it's not what I'm trying to say. I'm asking you a question. How did they send a picture to Earth 300,000 miles away with like a 15-second delay? How is that possible when we need a 50,000 watt antenna here on Earth? Oh, well, now, Ryan, you just don't believe anything, I guess. So what do you believe? That's their answer. They don't answer the question I asked them, which is, how the fuck would you be able to do that? They instead ask me some ridiculous general thing like, well, what do you believe? Really? What do I believe? I'm like, why don't you just answer my question? And then my uncle, who's 85, he's got very angry. You can tell when he's angry because he turned to my aunt and he said, I think that's enough talking about that. And it's one of the few times he gets pretty pissed. And then my aunt said, so really, what do you believe? And he turned to her again and was like, I think we're done talking about that. He was not, and it's funny because when you ask them a question they can't answer, they immediately get vicious. They get angry. When you ask me a question I can't answer, I go, I really don't know. That's a great question. Tell you what, why don't you give me a day or two to think about it? Let me try to come up with my best answer. And I don't get angry. And in fact, I encourage everybody, please ask me all the questions you want. See if you can stump the buoy, Try to ask me a question that I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. Because if I don't know the answer to that, I'll say so. So it is just bizarre. It is so hard to be with family when you have to remain in this vacuum of idiocracy. You just, And my mom chimes in every time I start to say something. She's like, we know how you believe. And just for the record, everybody, I don't believe the way he believes. My mom has to make sure she tells everyone that she does not believe the way I believe. And again, it's like they want me there, but they don't want me to talk. They just want me, I guess I'm just eye candy. No, really, I don't know. All I do know is I'm very thankful for the community that I've been able to gather together of people who are open-minded thinkers. Because right away with that Nashville bombing thing, I went, bullshit, Really, the guy was announcing for everybody to clear the area. He did no damage to nothing. And he just happened to blow himself up, so they couldn't recover a body, of course. Isn't that always the story there? We had to shoot the perp, or there's no body. There's no way to ever question or find out who or why he did what he did, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, except that they're saying he's a crazy white guy. It's their favorite story of all time. So, la 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 la. So anyway, I just encourage everybody to try to stay as diligent as possible, because that's all we can do is try to keep, I say things to I'm with my aunt and my uncle that I don't ever really get to talk to that much. And even though they're angry, I put a few things out there. I even went back and talked to my aunt, and I said, you know what? You were asking me a question right when my uncle wanted me to stop talking. So I'm just checking the direction I'm going here. And I said, I would love to answer your question. What do I believe? Or why do I believe that it didn't happen? Or that's right. She asked me, why would they do something like that? Why would they lie about the moon? And I said, well, right off the bat, since you guys are always talking about money, they bring in $1 billion a day or whatever it is. It's a ridiculous amount of money every day. Trillions and trillions of dollars have been siphoned by the deceitful NASA. We know that. There are lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. And we know all of that. So that's a simple answer. It wasn't a good enough answer for her because she's like, well, come on. Really? They would do all that for money? And I'm like, wait a minute. You're just telling me that they're doing all this COVID shit for money. It's all about money. So how are they going to do something about COVID, which is here on the earth, about money, but somehow anything that happens in outer space is not about money? It's amazing how they will pick and choose which things they wish to believe and which things they absolutely close their mind off to, even though they're parallel stories. They're great, grand, fantastic stories that are perpetrated by the same people. All the moon events happened in like 4 years under Nixon. And then we've never been back to the moon at all. And then we have current astronauts now saying that, well, we can't get back to the moon. It's the technology is too difficult. And we haven't figured out how to get past the Van Allen radiation belt. Although allegedly we went multiple times in 1969, 70, 71, and 72, I think. So it's amazing how they really will smoke their gears trying to think of some sort of ridiculous excuse they can give to me as to why something may have happened, instead of taking 5 seconds and going, you know what, let me think about what you just said right there. That's definitely interesting. You don't have to agree with me, but at least take a moment to go, how much of that is actually possible? True. Maybe not true. Who knows? But they answer so quick. All right, I just had to check my map real quick, make sure I know where I'm going. Yeah, so they will really, and they get angry. I cannot figure this out, why people get angry. When you ask them questions, they can't figure it out. How are we supposed to have a conversation back and forth and learn from one another if you're always getting angry every time we ask you something you can't figure out? When I'm told things that I cannot hardly believe, I go, what? That's impossible. But I'll go check it out. And inevitably, most of the times I go check it out, it's, I found out it's a lie. So when she said, oh, so you just don't believe anything, I almost wanted to say, no, I don't. I sure as hell don't believe anything until and this is what I told her. I said, look, I've been lied to enough that I know now that it takes my due diligence of studying a subject before I can say that I know anything. Because usually what they tell me on the news, and in parentheses, always, if it's on the news or national media, it's bullshit. They're telling you a lie to push their agenda. So, but they're not open to hearing it. They don't want to hear it. And I'm not trying to push that. I'm just trying to crack a little, I don't know why there's, I don't know, man. This mind control is something else. People are, and that's just like Jesus, My mom is, every time my mom gets frustrated, it's, I have Jesus. Well, you're missing Jesus, and that's what your problem is. That's what I get every single time. Inevitably, I tell her I'm studying the banking system, and I wanted to see the birth certificate she had from the hospital. And it was really interesting because the birth certificate she has from the hospital with my feet print on it and the seal embossed actually says this isn't the original. The original is held by the owner. In all cases, the original certificate of ownership is held by the owner. And when that certificate is possessed by somebody else will then own it. So who the hell owns your birth certificate, and what does that mean? And then you go down to read on the birth certificate. It tells you, hold on to this certificate. It is an heirloom and very important. In so many words, I'll show it later. Right now, I'm just kind of paraphrasing, but it tells you this is very important. It's an heirloom. So then I said, you know what? That's profound. What? And my mom's like, well, it's an heirloom. It's, it's, I said, so it's a trinket to you, right? You think it's a trinket? I said, let's go to the dictionary and let's look up heirloom. So I went to Anderson's Law Dictionary and I look up heirloom, and inevitably it says it is an inheritance. An inheritance. So a piece of paper with your fucking footprints on it is not any heirloom. Okay? You don't inherit feet print. That's not something the state tells you to take good care of and put this in a safe place, because you'll never have your baby feet this size again. No. And so I'm reviewing that birth certificate, very profound, and I actually went ahead and sent in my paperwork for my estate EIN, and we're going to go from there to the next step. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. I'm listening to these lectures and I'm studying as much as possible. I actually enjoy the time traveling because it's time I get to practice studying. So, and the last thing is that I'll talk about, and then I'll end it because I don't want to get lost, is Jeff Censored, Jeff C. Live, one of our great truth members who, wow, I mean, it was really great listening to him because he's been doing this for a long time. He's wide awake. He knows all the angles. What a powerful source of good for helping people understand how this crazy world works, or should I say doesn't work. At least he did talk about all of the lies and such, and that's so important. So he passed away unexpectedly. I still don't even know exactly like what they're saying, how he died, but the day after Christmas or Christmas, I'm not sure, one or the other. I heard about it the day after Christmas, so I don't know if it. Anyway, the winter solstice, the biggest pagan holiday of the year. This guy is dead. Like, very suspicious. And he had been censored so many times, and they tried to shut him down so many. He got blocked. I mean, I don't even know how. He had several backup channels, so I was part of his backup channel. So after he got blocked on a bunch of backup channels, he would go to the next one. And so anyway, it is a real shame. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I got the little dude man here. It's a real shame that he is no longer with us in this journey of discovery because he's a powerful voice, and a lot of people, he had a lot of people's ears, so he could share. I'm new. I don't have that many ears, and I'm thankful for Matt over at Quantum of Conscience because he's one of the other few that really have a good way of not getting there's sometimes he gets very esoterically into deeper subjects that can throw people off, but for people that have been doing this for a while, they can handle it. But he has a really good way of explaining to people that still kind of new at this. I let my mom listen to the Titanic fairy tale because I thought she'd enjoy the story. But of course, it's a little bit of narration by Matt, and right away, I could see her immediately as soon as he started talking about conspiracy. She was like, I don't want to hear it. And I'm like, wait a minute, just hear the story. So, and halfway through it, she's like, I think I've heard of the Olympic before. And that was it. That was it. The whole story went by, it ended. And I said, so what was your favorite part about that? And she's like, well, I've heard of the Olympic. And I'm like, what about the rest? Like, she's like, I could see them hiring the captain. And I'm like, what do you mean you could see them hiring the captain? What's that mean? Like, the captain that wrecked the first ship, you could see them hiring the same captain that wrecked the first ship? For why? And she's like, well, because they're stupid. I don't know if she's willfully choosing not to think about it because she hates any idea of conspiracy thought, or and again, it's not conspiracy. It's not secret. It is just facts. But anyway, my love goes out to the Jeff C. family, and what a great loss. I'm just heartbroken over losing someone with such a voice. And and there's a lot of you out there too that have good voices, that know how to speak and probably know more than I do. And I would really encourage you to just start sharing. You don't have to have a lot of subscribers in order to make a difference. I get messages from a handful of people that appreciate, or at least tell me they appreciate, and that's it. If I can make a few people's day better because they get to hear that they're not alone, then that's great. If I get to make people's day a little bit better by sharing the Dude Man with them, then that's great. So same thing with you. I would love at some point to be able to have like some sort of, I don't know, like a live show where other people can pop on. We can have callers and stuff like that, or Zoom callers. That way, and obviously there'll be an eject button for those people that are not contributing in a positive way. But I think it would be great for us to have a little round robin, discussion here, or round table, whatever you call it. That way we can have a place to go every now and then. Just be like, what? I'm going to go this meeting over here with all these people, like-minded people, and just remind myself I'm not crazy. There is no law to shut down restaurants. There is no law to wear a mask. It's individual businesses. And unfortunately, if an individual business doesn't want to do something, you can civilly try to take them to court. But now you're using the system that you really do want to get out of. You're engaging yourself more into a corrupt system to try to get what you want. When the truth is, just stop using their services. And if you have to use their services like flying, you're going to have to modify like I did with my mask, or just suck it up. If you want to use their service, you're going to have to suck it up for a minute. But yeah, I think the most important is to keep figuring out how to exit the system. And until then, to be able to use the system as little as possible to get as much done until you're able to exit the system, which I still have yet to meet anyone who's fully exited the system. I've heard a lot, but I don't know. All I do know is that there are legitimate steps to getting some relief because they're shutting down the economy. Okay, now it's a good time for people to start learning how to access their treasury account lawfully. You know, it is yours. You just have to take the correct step. And the misinformation out there on other gurus out there who don't want to talk about the banking system but want to have you what's some of the things they say? Secured party, you know, and filing UCC ones and all this other confusing stuff. And, you know, you have to be very careful. There are plenty of misinformation agents out there on purpose so that they screw you up and possibly get you doing a process the wrong way that you could be then hauled into court for. So the idea is to obviously do this the correct way so that you are, you know, within your rights, because you do not want to be held into court. We're not trying to get away with anything. We're not trying to find a loophole at all. We're simply trying to, like, I filed an S4 for my estate because that estate name with the social security number is a dead fictitious creature of law. It's a dead entity. So I come in there, since it's my dead entity, there is another owner too, but that owner's not going to step up to the plate because then you would know who the culprit is. So you'll never hear them step up to the plate. So you're the other owner, you step in, you take ownership of that account, and then you liquidate it. You take everything out of there, okay? And there are IRS forms to help you discharge debt and stuff like that. If you use them the correct way and you've taken control of your accounts, then you're going to get some relief. And right now, I can't see anything more important than that. There's plenty of people that still have work, but there are so many of us that are suffering. Those are the people I think would be a good idea to pay attention to some of this right now. That's why I am, because they're going to keep... I'm in the service industry, and if there aren't people coming out to be served, then what are you going to do? Right? So anyway, I'll keep sharing with you guys. I love you. I love humanity. As weird and wacky as some of these people are, I got love for them. They're just brainwashed. They've just been manipulated. And that's the best thing you can do, is just give them all a big kiss and keep steady course on what it is you're doing. You know, don't acquiesce to any of this nonsense. Just keep your network of like-minded people available so that you can keep reminding yourself that you're not crazy, because it sure feels that way sometimes. All right, well, Dude Man and I will bid you a good farewell for now, and we'll see you in a little bit. Put your thinking caps on. All right, bye.